Hello and welcome to Needing a Meeting. My name is Carol. I will be your host today. Hello, Clearwater Chad, Dom's mom. Hello, Heather. Good to see you guys. We got anybody on the Needing a Meeting side? Not yet. That's all right. Today, I wanted to kind of cover a specific topic. What to do when you have lost your faith or are struggling with your faith, whether that be faith in another person or faith in people in general or in a belief or in whatever you had faith in before. And so, yeah, I had a blog post that I was going to be doing some reading from. And yeah, just kind of wanted to get into that. And as soon as Ben gets back up on the screen, I will let him in the, here we go.
You were watching, huh? So what was the blog post on? I missed that part. I was jumping between the two.
On, your spirit being broken, losing your faith,
Okay.
whether it be in faith in humanity, faith in a person, faith in a belief. I came from a belief system where, there was only one faith and everything else that wasn't that faith, which was the cult's faith, was wrong and not faith at all.
Yeah.
And and so you have to bite and chew whatever they're feeding. Even if it's not sitting right, even if it doesn't ring true. You're so indoctrinated that you can push that stuff down for a little while. But then when I left the cult, it's like, okay, why do I believe what I believe? What is it that I believe and why? And does it hold up to scrutiny? That's the thing that I started struggling with like the most.
Well, yeah,
and I had to be honest about what did and what did not hold up to scrutiny, and there wasn't very much of it that did.
Sure, yeah, and that's also that's a sign that at least you retained your critical thinking ability, and that's because that's something that a lot of people don't get back. A lot of them are just so used to operating in what do you call that condition? Oh, good grief! For cognitive dissonance, where you just kind of disregard,
Yeah.
Well, but yeah, at least how would you say the cult you were in? How would you say where they are for manipulation on a scale 1 to 10? 10 being
Ooh, I'm going to give it a good solid 8.
No kidding. Okay.
Because the reason I'm not giving it a 10 is because there's the illusion being put forth that there is room for your own thoughts. However, your thoughts must conform to a certain certain criteria.
Sure. So still thought control. It's not full blown thought control like the bite model would suggest.
Right. I'm going to say some more hellos. Hello, Layla Bradley. Hello, Conversations with Christy. Hi, Kristen Melinda. Saw you earlier, Dom's mom. Hello. Crystal, hello. Hello, Mayonnaise Entertainment. Really good to see all y'all. KP Nordy, thank you. Nordic. I need my reading glasses. KP Nordic, good to see you. Good to see you guys. If I've missed anybody, I apologize. I'm glad you're here. And we're talking about what do you do when you've lost your faith? Whether it's in a person, a belief, humanity, the world at large, whatever it may be, we tend to hold on to a faith in something.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what were you going to say?
Oh, well, wow. Vapor lock.
Sorry.
No. I wound up giving blood today, which I feel so much better. But yeah, my wits have not completely returned. That's also a natural condition in my case, being I lived in Bisbee. So yeah, kind of a happy space with you. But um, yeah, that I think that is probably natural for people to lose faith in something periodically. And honestly,
Yeah.
it can be seen as a good thing because it means that you're challenging. You're not just blindly accepting everything. You're challenging. Why do I believe this? Um,
Yeah.
and that's I I can name tons of people that don't do that, and mm,
This happened. Krista Melinda says this happened to me recently. It really helped to talk to someone I trusted. You know, I'm so glad you had someone that you actually can trust because,
yeah,
sometimes you're losing your faith because you don't know who to trust, you
yes,
know.
yeah, not one big difference that I've spotted between persuasion and manipulation. Persuasion, and this isn't a perfect world. Persuasion should be about either both sides win or the other person wins. You're helping them do something with no gain of your own, or it's we both win type of thing. With manipulation, it's always the person who's manipulating, they always win, and
Yeah.
manipulation's more often founded in lies. There's a lie somewhere, even if it's a white lie, there'll be a lie in there. Versus
Yeah.
persuasion is going to be truth mainly. You can still
That's
tell a white
very
lie in persuasion, but
that's in there that spin the web of lies around.
yeah. And then
Yeah.
to the extreme, you would have gaslighting, where that is the lies are cranked up to the max. Everybody sees that you're like this. Everybody's saying this about you. That's a classic
Right.
manipulation. Everybody, and of course, the way to counter that is to say, well, that's interesting. How about we call a mutual friend and see what their opinion is? Everybody I talk to, they say this. And that would be how you would counter that particular point. Sorry. Good
That's
morning.
okay. Matrix, hey, Crystal, Matrix, I'm sorry that you feel that people have given up on you. I'm not going to give up on you. Does that help any? And Shannon Smith says sometimes it's hard to have faith in anything, and that is the truth.
Yeah.
Yes, Crystal, hello.
Hello.
How are you? What's going on?
I guess some good news.
Good.
I
I'm
guess.
happy. I'd love to hear it.
Um, just a bit of an update on both fronts.
Okay.
I talked to my store manager on Friday, and I had not made myself clear when I talked to him about where this guy was actually standing, and I had forgot that our store manager is very visual. So I'd actually taken a picture of the area, and so I was able to actually show him exactly where this guy is putting his cart. And I told him again, I said, I'm talking with some of my peer supports, and they're saying that's creepy. And when he realized, he was thinking that this guy was standing in the doorway
Oh,
of what we call layaway area, which is just fixtures now, where he's actually standing over a little ways closer to the washrooms. And he said, oh, that is kind of creepy, when he realized, so I wasn't being clear enough. So that hopefully will be stopping.
good. Good.
So fingers crossed.
Yes. Yes, I hope so.
So yeah. And on the other front, I
Yes.
found out on Friday I have been accepted. Yay!
That's amazing. I
Yes.
I just really did feel like you would.
I knew I would too.
Yeah.
It was stressful that I hadn't heard anything yet.
Yes.
Um I don't have a placement yet,
Okay.
but she at least, like, she said she'd been away at meetings all week, and so she had a lot of work to catch up on, and then getting everything from the board meeting put together and into the system and figure all that stuff out. So she
Okay.
said, I probably won't hear anything else for at least another 4 to 6 business days.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's not
So
bad.
I'm really praying that there will at least be something coming open. It is the end of the
Yeah.
month, so they should know a little bit more on who's moving out and who's giving their notice and all that stuff. I have
Yeah.
heard that there's another person moving out again, so yeah, I'm really
Okay.
excited. I now
That's
have to
good.
really focus on packing.
That is so
Well,
good.
So,
That is one. I agreed,
yeah,
Mayonnaise Entertainment. That is wonderful news. I'm
yeah,
so glad you came on to share it with us. Have you ever
yeah.
run into a crisis of faith, Crystal?
Um, I
I
think
know you're really
maybe
strong in
there's,
your faith, and I've been curious about that, with all that you've been through,
I don't know if I would really call it a crisis of faith, but I have questioned God at times,
Yeah,
and I've gotten mad at him.
yeah,
Um, and that's the one thing um, I think a lot of people don't realize that it's okay to get mad at God.
yeah.
He already knows what's going on inside you anyways. So if you can let it out and verbalize it, then it's at least out there. You've brought it out in the
Right
open
on.
where it can actually be dealt with a little bit better. So yeah, there's been times I've wondered why God let things happen that he did, but he usually answers me back and lets me know why. And
Right on. Have you ever lost faith in people? I mean,
all the time, all the time. I have borderline personality disorder. Abandonment is one of the big ones.
oh, right on. Yeah,
So
yeah,
and I was trying to recall something specific because you asked me the same question. I know I've had some big ones, and for the life of me, I just cannot recall many many instances. But the one that I can think of has been exactly what Crystal was saying with people. It's like, wait a minute, hold on. You say you believe this, but then you turn around and you do this. You say you value honesty, but then you're going against your own value system. Why is that? You say you
yeah,
believe in these things, but yet you're living this. What gives? And I'm trying to recall, gaslighting would be a good example of the answers I got back, which tells me, okay, I valued this friend. I valued this person as a friend, but given the amount of crap I'm getting, um, and some of the flat out insults, it's like, you know what? It's time for me to sever this relationship. I'm not
yeah.
one to usually do that. I'm generally, I would say I'm loyal to a fault,
Right
but
on.
yeah, I've had to let go of some friendships that Um, and then the thing was, I had to turn around and tell this guy, it's a good thing we're on social media because what you're saying to me, I would be tempted to smack you, and I'm not generally a violent person. But and of course, I'm saying it much calmer now than I was then because heat of the moment. But
Yeah. Go through a divorce. It's kind of like more like there's background noise.
okay,
Yep, it went quiet after you muted. Can you hear us? Uh,
we can't hear you though.
well, I
yeah, we
did say
can't hear you talk.
I didn't say anything.
Okay.
Oh.
But when you were muted, could you hear us? Okay. Go through a divorce. There's an example of losing faith. You ain't kidding, Kim. It's been a number of years since I went through a divorce. Actually, mine was finalized in February of 1990, and I was 21 years between marriages. Kim agreed. Hello. 6 likes out of 7 in the chat. Okay, I like that. It takes me time, a lot of observation, says Krista Melinda, to feel loyal. But when I do,
Yep.
whoever I'm loyal to is stuck with me. I love that. I do love that.
And in the perfect world, that would be a good example of what you should be, instead of codependency, where your values all placed upon, does this person like? I have to be liked. It's kind of like I don't know if you remember the guy on Friends. There was a
The one that passed away.
no. He
Oh,
was a psychologist that was dating Phoebe, I think, where he was
okay.
just being, love me, I need love, define me. That's the way codependency actually is. It's just we don't. That's yeah, but yeah, I can tell that my codependency would also cause me to make some very unwise choices in who I was loyal to and what
Right.
value I placed on relationships that really weren't the best.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to read from this blog just a couple of paragraphs here. I'm going to put it up on the screen, I hope. This is from a blog called Elephant Journal. Let's see if I can get that up there. May take a couple of seconds here. Good point, Ben. I'm a recovering codependent. Had to claw my way out of it. Wow, Krista Melinda, that's a big one to climb your way out of. Because, I mean, first off, how do you even know you're doing it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are the paragraphs that got my attention. Actually, it's probably about 3 paragraphs. Heartbreak is a devastating feeling. We move past the confusion and hurt, growing more and more numb each day, transitioning into an almost catatonic state. The smile may appear on our faces, yet it's not one that comes from the heart and genuinely lights us from within. It's an effort. It's a forced action. It's exhausting. We may struggle to find the positive. We may no longer be plagued with conflicting emotions, sadness, guilt, blame, denial, anger, and pain, but rather burdened by a broken spirit. It stretches way beyond heartbreak. It's more than a feeling of being done or demolished. Our flame has been extinguished, and I have been there. Our hope depleted, our faith shattered, our belief in others, and even more disappointing, belief in ourselves may have died. That's a big one. We're muted. We become a shell of a being with nothing left to fuel our passion and desire to live fully. It's a torturous way to exist, merely surviving each day. We can feel like no one gets it. We can feel misunderstood. We often suffer in isolation, which will definitely accelerate our descent into a living hell. As much as we want to pull ourselves out of this slump, making every effort to figure out how, our spirit may be broken. Our spirit may be broken. It's like a puzzle, missing the pieces to make it whole. Enduring feelings of sadness, frustration, loneliness, confusion is absolutely normal. This comes along with the fact that we are human beings, and life without challenges wouldn't be a life well lived. We need to step out of our comfort zones. We must let go to hold, suffer heartbreak, to shrink. So it's given some baby steps here. Read a book filled with optimism and positivity. Talk or write about it. Don't expect a miracle. And this is the paragraph that I wanted to read. Find your faith. No matter who or what It is you believe in a power higher than yourself. Spirituality of all kinds serve to nurture the soul. It creates a space for love, safety, and wonder. It can guide us in the most challenging of times. It can be our conscience when we seem to have lost our way. Respect the process.
Mm.
I thought that was all pretty good stuff. But that the whole thing of and I lost it. No matter what it is you believe in a power higher than yourself. Spirituality of all kinds serves to nurture the soul. It creates space. So what do you do when you can't find it? That thing,
Mm.
whatever it is. I mean, what do you do? I mean, I have been that lost. Just
Wow.
felt it. I called it lost as a goose in high weeds.
Well, and actually, that's not at all surprising. You see this happen with members of I won't name the group. There's a couple of cults where people get out and they say this is the embodiment of all religion. All they turn there is nothing, and these are genuinely these are pretty spiritual people. And they eventually find their way back to a faith, something
Yeah,
that works for them, being very
yeah,
pragmatic. But yeah,
yeah,
I would say that's probably more typical than not after people who are involved in a traumatic thing like being in the cult, where you have that, whether you're doing it for your own good or whether you're kicked out. I don't know. I think both of them would probably be equally bad.
yeah,
But at least if you leave, I can see how if you left of your own accord, you would at least have a little faith in yourself. Yeah, I fell for this. Well, you know what? Most people, a lot of really intelligent people do. But I stood up for what I believe. Um, so I can see that being maybe a little bit less, but still, you have had your life turned upside down. Deepest, the deepest part of your psyche is tied up in this religion,
yeah,
this belief system that no matter what happens, this connection I have is going to transcend everything. And to have that ripped away from you, whether you've left it or whether this group took it away from you,
yeah,
that's a traumatic event. That's really big. And
yeah,
people talk
yeah,
about moving being big. So how much more would it be something that's deep inside of you that defines who you are
yeah,
beneath all labels? I mean, beneath I'm codependent, I'm an addict, beneath all that to your core being,
yeah,
you lose that. Yeah, that's
yeah.
that's a
It
big,
is.
big one.
That's called being lost as far as I'm concerned, because I have been there, and I guess maybe where I probably started from is, you know, like finding the lifeboat and finding my people once again, because I lost a tribe in addition to a belief system.
Yeah.
When I Even though it was my own decision, I walked away from a cult,
Mhm.
and I have people that I've been friends with since I was a kid, a really young kid.
Mm.
But but if they haven't been through the same things as you,
Yeah.
who do you go to?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I feel like with the lifeboat, I kind of found my tribe again. I knew I
Mm.
was and I knew I needed to get back into the rooms of recovery in some kind of way. I had
Mm.
known it for a long time and just didn't know how to go about it, because I knew that AA just it wasn't a place where I ever found what I needed for the long haul. It was
Sure.
it was necessary in the beginning because it helped me hear what I needed to hear and see what I needed to see that,
Mhm.
oh, I'm not so different from these people that are alcoholics. I didn't think I was,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, and I can see that. At this right after I went up to that dual diagnosis center, uh, for a while they encourage you to, what was, I can't remember the challenge. It was like so many meetings in so many days. We want to see you stick
Yeah.
to this. And I had to wind up going to AA because there was no codependency anonymous in the small town I was in. I was lucky to find an AA meeting. And a
Yeah.
lot of the AA meetings, I mean, well, it was so odd. And I'm not speaking bad about AA globally or
Yeah, and
anything.
I'm not either. It
Yeah,
is necessary, and it was
yeah,
necessary. I wouldn't have gotten sober without it.
yeah.
No way.
I learned a bit from it.
Yeah.
However, when you stand up in those meetings and say, "Hi, I'm Ben," you can't say I'm an alcoholic. First of all, people start, well, I'm a codependent, depressive, or yeah, depressive codependent person, and they kind of, look at you a little funny, but and you can see some, because you're really not, you're there for the meeting, and you will get a meeting out of them, but yeah, I think some groups are more judgmental than others, and they're not for everybody.
Yeah.
A lot of
I think you're
people,
right about that. And the rooms that I always found myself in were a little bit more on the judgy side, you
yeah,
know. And
and
it's
that's,
not AA's fault. It's,
yeah,
we're
just the
dealing
way
with
that
a whole system because it's a member dependent organization, you know.
yeah, and especially in small towns, or if you run into a place that they have their tight little group, they they're not going to get that many outside members in. And if you start getting outside people in, you're right off the bat, you're an outlier to their little group, and then when you don't even identify the same way, or people would say, "I'm taking this to help me get out of it," they were looked down upon. And it was
Yeah.
really odd because some of in a small town, some of these people. It's like, wait a minute, you say you're doing this, but I saw you last night at our heavy metal vomit party. You saying this, but so
Yeah. Yeah, that I can see where that could be. I was in a big city when I was doing AA, so wasn't much risk of that. I love what Kim is saying here. I walked away from my childhood faith and found many faiths along the way. And then she said something else after that. I kept looking until I found myself in a faith. Get
Yeah.
that up there. In a faith. When I found me, then I stood still and took a breath. I felt at home and have not moved on. Right on. That's amazing, Kim. That is inspirational, for real.
I think I think a lot of it, you do have to learn who you are in yourself,
Yeah,
because if you can't find yourself and figure out who you are and where you fit in,
yeah.
I think it's harder.
Yeah, it is. It is.
The the one thing, I always had my own faith. It wasn't
Mhm.
my mom's or my dad's.
Right.
When I really look back, my aunts were the ones that poured into my life more than anyone else. And they're the ones that believed in me, which helped me to believe in what they were trying to teach me,
Yeah.
which was faith in God.
Mhm.
And because I learned that my faith was my own, I had to, because there was times I would say something to my mom and she'd say, "What, weren't you a Christian already?" Or that was one of the statements she made to me about something. And I'm like, yeah. And just some of the other things that she pushed down our throats that just
Yeah.
didn't even really seem completely right when we were growing up, let
Yeah.
alone as I got older. So
Yeah.
it's, yeah, you got to learn to find your own faith.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then in that, you learn how to find your faith in other people and circumstances.
Yeah.
Yeah, my faith has been shaken these last couple few months because I felt like this was something that I was being led to do.
Yeah.
And it has been hard. Like, come on, God, where are you? There's a crunch time here now. But I think in all of it, even when I've struggled, there's still that piece that holds me together and
Right.
helps me know that, you're gonna come against tough times,
Yeah.
and people are going to let you down.
Yeah.
I look at my friend E that got really mad because I put a boundary up, and she actually reached out the end of last week, and she said, "Are we okay?" I said, "Yeah, we are." I said, "I just needed some space for a bit here," and she's like, "Oh, okay." So, because I don't want to sever that friendship.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is a good healthy boundary there, especially
Yeah.
one that you can keep. When people are manipulators, you are tempted to think boundaries don't work, and the thing is like, no, boundaries work. Your boundary with this person isn't working because they're getting you to violate it.
Yeah.
Manipulators do, but in that kind of relationship, yeah, that's healthy.
Yeah. When I had spent so many years, you know, in a certain way of approaching faith, it was looking back on it, I would call it even more mental, a lot than spiritual, because you have to do the mental gymnastics to make that stuff fit into
Yeah.
what you maybe have always known within yourself.
Yeah.
And but you're not aware it's happening necessarily. And then when I went full blown into a cult, we're talking that's almost 20 years of indoctrination. And when I came out of that, I felt like I was a sweater, and all of my threads were just being pulled and pulled and pulled and pulled, and I wondered if there was gonna be anything of me left by at the end of it, at the last pull, you know?
And that's powerful. If you again, I'm not a Maslow groupie. I'm not a disciple. But if you look at Maslow's pyramid, you have the basic needs. I need shelter. I need food. I need air. I need, these work up. But right above that is your need to belong. And then of course it works out from there. I have to belong to a group. I have to be esteemed in that group, and then you start differentiating yourself. I have to be seen as the next layer up. I have to be seen as an individual, and most people spend most of those two layers. But that is a really powerful thing. That is what
Yeah,
interrogators do, where they take, and they do this in the military, especially military prisoners. They'll take everything that's from your identity. You belong to this military. You earn it. They take that and strip it away one by one, and then they have their last piece of identity on a little piece of paper, and they start ripping it. And that's of course a figurative, but they start ripping at your last thing to yourself, and that is really super traumatic to a lot of people.
yeah,
That is nothing. That's nothing to be. There's nothing small about that. That is a huge trauma, and
yeah,
I find it interesting that a lot of religious. I'm not poking fun. I'm not poking fun. I'm not poking at any particular religious groups. Just a lot of cults tend to do this.
Yeah.
They will manipulate you by um, they try to dictate what you feel inside. You seem very contentious, or you feel you're angry at this, aren't you? You're, and it's like the way to counter that is like, well, how do you know how I feel inside? But they will use that and they will gaslight you into that state if given a chance. Um,
Right.
there was a they can get you to doubt who you are. There was a what we call police interrogation. They took this guy who actually wasn't at the crime scene, and they took a picture of the road where this crime happened. They faked the time. They put the wrong time on there, and then they said they started planting a mind virus in him, saying, "Well, there's satellites all over the place, don't you?" Yeah, they're always taking pictures of the Earth. We have a picture of your truck at the crime scene, and it got and the thing was the guy never did it, and he's still in jail because they're trying the Innocence Project is trying to get him out.
Oh
But
my
they faked
word.
all this. They had no evidence on him. But what they did is they kept working on him over and over. Well, we have these pictures of you. You don't remember you did this, but deep down you did this, and you're having
Whoa.
problems coming to terms with this. And you talk about disassociation. That is how you. And finally, the guy confessed. They had no evidence on him. They got him to confess. That's how he got convicted, and is something he didn't even do. They faked the picture, which he looks down and he sees a truck that's like his in the photograph, and the distance that they took it, they tried to make it look like it was a satellite photo, but it was too close to the Earth. But still, when you're in that state and you're doubting your own sanity,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you're like,
Yeah.
and, and
Wow.
cults do stuff like that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
they do.
it it is.
There is a systematic breaking down of the individual person
Yeah,
and building
and
it back in their own image. Yeah.
and I am so thankful in my own journey with me being as codependent as I'll always be a little codependent no matter how far I get along. I know this.
Yeah.
But I am so glad that I didn't take any of the cults I was in so seriously. I treated them more like a really needy girlfriend, like, okay, nah, we don't want to. I got mad. I mean, I had very real emotions about it. I suffered
Right.
real loss. But at the
Yeah.
same time, it's like, but don't you believe this? No. Well, how can you not? This means that you're, you're so lost. Oh my gosh, you have no idea what you have done. Yeah, bite me. That kind of thing. Okay. Well, you need to keep in contact with us. I got a better idea. Let's be enemies, huh? But that experience is nothing. A lot of people are in cults. They're fully in because you get in for a need to have filled, and my need was just, I kind of like this guy. He's one of my guitarists. He's not going to be all bad. Yes, I think so. I think that is so true, Kristen.
Yeah. One
It's
of my
kind of like
favorite therapists told me that most therapists are recovering codependents. Oh my.
I always like it. If you ever see a guy who runs a body shop, they'll fix up cars really nice. You look at their car; it's always a beater. So, kind of the same thing.
I think that's where a lot of these cults actually prey on people because you're looking for faith in something.
Yes.
And so they're saying, "Oh, well, this is the absolute best and this is how where you need to be." And because you don't see the whole picture as they're beginning to indoctrinate you or whatever, you're you're blind to what the reality really is until they get you in there and they start pumping you full of their own
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, in my case, I kind of went into it with my own thing and thought that, what I was getting into was in alignment with it. Whereas really what it was is just a lack of understanding of what was within me. Hey, Stasia.
Hey, Stacia.
Hi.
Wow, she can change her look completely just by how she wears her hair. She can look like a completely different person.
Yeah. Took the time to straighten it earlier, so I just like, yeah, okay, well, we have plans, and then son called and kind of a bit of an emergency with a move, so I'm like, go take care of that. I can wait till, an hour, 2 hours, it's fine. Yeah.
Well, I don't know how much you've been able to catch the topic, but it's kind of like I'm wanting to get, lots of other people's take on what do you do when you've lost your faith, whether it be in something, in a person, in humanity, in a belief,
Okay. See, what to do? I turned to addiction when I lost my faith.
Okay.
I turned to addictions. I was brought up Roman Catholic.
Okay.
And when I had realized that I might not connect with that religion very well and had learned all of the things about priests,
Yeah.
because Catholicism does not have a good rap when it comes to their priests, their preachers, right?
Yeah.
I had found out that my father had been abused by his priest, and that's when I lost my faith.
Ooh.
Yeah, and he wasn't the only one, and they all knew about each other. The priest told them to keep quiet, but they talked amongst themselves. So, at that point was when I was like, okay, I don't think I believe in this. And I don't know if I would call myself an atheist at that point, but I didn't believe in anything. I believed that there might have been some power, but I didn't even know if I believed that.
Okay. Wow.
And then with my ex, it was just completely non-religious. Is that just the dog? Sorry. Yeah. It was completely non-religious. But he had his own experiences with his childhood and religion. So it was easy to not even be spiritual with him. But before him, I was starting to figure out, not starting to figure out, but starting to research a little bit into paganism, Wicca, and things like that. Because I don't believe that there can be one person who watches everything or one entity that watches everything. I do believe that there's different powers. And I'm starting to realize more and more out of my situation that this is what I believe. I believe that there's multiple beings in charge of multiple things.
Yeah.
For example,
so how did you arrive there? Did you did it just something that resonated and kept resonating, or?
When I started looking into paganism, that's when Greek mythology really kicked in. Like I started really researching Greek mythology at that point as well. Mm-hmm. I don't think that I would call myself a pagan at this point, but I believe that there's the universe, and as I said, multiple entities, multiple beings who take care of us in different situations. Logan, as soon as I turned it on, and then I would say recently, actually, it's been Christy who's helped me kind of flourish in that a little bit, because her belief system is very close to what it is that I believe, or I'm becoming to understand that I believe. Is Dad home already? He's staring at the door. Sorry. I lost my train of thought now. Sorry. Great big dog whining, and it's adorable, but I just lost my train of thought. But so now I would say I love the astrology aspect. Tarot cards, oracle cards. I don't personally read them, but recently all of the readings that I've had and understanding the meaning behind the cards and understanding the differences between star signs and things like that, it helps me understand the world.
Okay.
It helps me understand me.
Ultimately, that's what the belief system is for. To
exactly.
understand the world
Logan, enough.
around you, you know?
Yeah.
I found
So,
heathenism through the Bible.
Logan, enough. He might be home. I don't know. Both animals are now like at the back door. So for where the astrology aspect, I'm trying to think of what interview it was for Christy. It was the Spanx interview. He's a cusp Pisces, Aquarius. Hi, enough. Logan, thank you. And he says that he has like a battle on the inside because there's the Aquarius, which is like water and it flows and very logical, whereas the Pisces feels a lot. So for me, as an Aquarius, it makes sense that I'm extremely logical and I remove emotions out of things now.
Okay.
It makes sense to me why I am the way that I am once I start understanding these things. I don't have a huge understanding of it yet, but I would say my path is very much leading me there.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I apologize for the dog barking and my train of thought getting lost every time he does it.
Have you ever lost faith in people or in yourself?
Completely. I've lost faith completely in humankind, and you really have to kind of prove yourself to me to have me believe in you or have me trust you. It takes a lot now. I think I trusted far too easily before, and now I've gone the opposite route. Like I completely like one polar opposite. You know, I trusted too much, and now it's like I need to fully understand who you are and what you're about before I even allow myself to open up about my deepest, darkest secrets.
Yeah.
Right. And then so that would be humanity. But then when it comes to myself, yeah, that too. I've lost.
Yeah, I have too.
I've completely lost trust in myself, and trying to build it back is one of the hardest things.
It is.
I don't even think I fully trust myself still, and we're talking 7 months later. I know I've made leaps and bounds. I know I'm doing better. I know I'm trusting myself more. I can see the progress. But I do not. I still question every decision and every action I'm going to make. But I'm not at the point where I'm questioning every word that comes out of my mouth. That's the point that I was at. I was questioning every word that came out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. I would say that that's very similar to where I was when I left my first husband.
Your last relationship, the one that was really toxic and all that,
yeah,
he was bad for gaslighting, wasn't he?
Yes.
Okay.
There's definitely a lot of that happening. In the situation, I would have called it just a twisting of words, but now that I understand what gaslighting is, once you're out of the situation, you can see it for what it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right? You can't see it for what it is when you're in it. I so much didn't even trust myself to think, oh, well, I don't feel like I'm crazy, but I'm sure being told that I'm acting that way, but I didn't realize all of the repercussions and all of the things that I had endured. And just the fact that I completely questioned myself every day and questioned, should I open up my mouth? Should I say this? That is what made me lose trust in myself. That specifically what made me lose trust in myself, because I believed what somebody else thought before what I believed what I thought.
Right.
That's the biggest differentiating factor that I can try to explain it.
Yeah, because what they're saying is louder.
Yeah. And it's easier for me anyways to understand, because I've always taken outward criticism, even support. I've taken that a lot easier than I've taken support or criticism from myself.
Yeah.
Because ants will start marching and I will criticize myself until the cows come home. And then on the positive side, it's very hard for me to see the positive that I just completed. Maybe 3 months down the line, I'll be able to see it. Maybe 3 months down the line, I'll be able to see it.
Yeah.
But he just got back.
Hell hath no fury. I agree. I used to believe in the power of the group, but now I fear mob mentality. I don't assume humanity is inherently good anymore. You know, that is such a low, disappointing thing to run into. Because I can relate to that very much.
Yeah. And then to be perfectly honest, with the way that everything's going societally right now, I don't know if I'm ever going to have trust in society ever again. I'm only going to be able to trust the certain people that I decide to call tribe.
Yeah.
So I just noticed your name again, Ben. I have to remember to look at Ben's name every time that I jump on. Like, Ben, I think.
Preach it to the back, plant freak.
I can't see the comments. Who was that?
That's Kim.
Oh.
Yeah, for real. It's that's a tough one.
Yeah, but at the same time, I find myself appreciative that I didn't go through situations like you did, Carol, where I was in an extremist religious organized group, and call it for what it is, a cult, right?
Yeah.
I'm very aware and grateful that in my life that didn't happen before I got to this point. And I'm grateful for that. And I feel for everybody who has, because when I was at my lowest, it would have been easy. I would have been that exact person that they were looking for.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Right when I found needing a meeting, imagine if I came across some sort of organized, not even religion, just organized program. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That probably would have been the worst thing. And I probably wouldn't have been able to.
There is a lot to that. That's how that, you know, they it's almost like there's a radar when they recognize a certain kind of vulnerability.
It's insane.
It is.
And then they'll end up taking every penny that you have and trying to say you need to give more. Yeah. People are already struggling at that point. How can you keep asking for that?
But you can't, but they do, you know.
They do.
And they don't ask for it. They just kind of work you so that you're.
They make you believe. It sounds like they make you believe that you need to be supplying your money to them.
And there's such a great reward just right around the corner. You won't.
But it never comes to fruition. It never comes to fruition.
Yeah. Yeah. For a long time, it took me years and years and years, over a decade, to realize what it was that I was getting a look of disdain from the main leader of the cult that I was in. Like I'd show up for prayer. We had prayer an hour early before every service. Okay. And he'd start sauntering in and he would just look at me like if looks could kill. And I'd be like, what have I done? Yeah. But recently I realized I started saying no when they asked me to do stuff, you know, and I started giving within my means. How dare I?
Wow.
I budgeted giving for the first time since I'd been in that cult.
He thought he had controlled you enough, and he thought that he had controlled you within the masses enough that you weren't going to do something like that. And then I'm sure that they would have brought it up as a selfishness.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right? Because now you're not thinking of the whole group. Now you're thinking of yourself and your well-being long term.
Yeah. And if you can't see the vision, well, then what good are you?
Jesus.
Yeah. You
See,
know, and that's
it's stories
after,
like
and
this.
that's after people took out mortgages and put them in the offering basket and lost their homes.
Dear God.
Yeah, that was after. So, you know, when you've squeezed the turnip and they've given you like the absolute most that it's going to ever be possible for them to give.
Yeah. Yeah. See, and stories like that is like, I can't really scream and yell too much about my situation, but I'm going to tell you, I need to scream and yell. Like, that's just the point
Yeah,
that I'm
you
at.
do.
I'm healed
Yeah.
enough that I need to scream and yell.
Yes.
So situations like you just explained, there's a possibility that growing up in Scientology, Aaron Smith-Levin's going to be in Montreal a couple of weeks after I get back. So I'm thinking about going to Montreal and protesting Scientology just to kind of get that out a little bit. Like, and I understand that that wasn't specifically the cult that you came from or that other individuals came from, but this is a huge organized religion that is essentially doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And I know enough people that I care about that have been through this. No, I don't want anybody else to go through it. I don't care who you are. As much as I've lost faith in humanity, I don't want to keep just letting it happen.
Yeah.
You know, if I can be some sort of voice for change, and my voice isn't going to be the only voice, you know, and I know that my voice isn't going to be the one voice that's going to make the difference. It's going to take many voices to make that difference.
Yeah.
But I feel like if we were able to, as a society, take down something like Scientology, that would give me a little bit more faith in humanity.
Yeah, I can see that. Take a beating. I am at fault. Get that broken bone. I should have done something better. Yes, I know how I am not so good enough. Yeah, and a cult can certainly capitalize on that. It is a continual browbeating. Yeah, I had something else that I wanted to say about it, and I lost it.
They prey on those that have gone through trauma.
Yep. That have gone through trauma, that are vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe don't even recognize that they are vulnerable or that they do have trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But they're seeing something within those that have trauma responses that is making it so that they're easier to prey on.
Yeah.
It's in a sense, it's the same way as people who end up getting assaulted time after time after time again, not by the same person, but by different people. There's something about us after we've experienced trauma that people seem to be able to smell.
Yeah, I don't want to diagnose or label anybody, but individuals with narcissism or with narcissistic tendencies, it's like they have a radar for individuals who are damaged.
Yeah.
Right? And they hone in on that damage and then love bomb so that they can understand what your damage is. And soon after you started a relationship or friendship, whatever, you know, it looks like, they love bomb you. And then all of a sudden, years and years later, it's coming back to haunt you.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. I've got the comments open now.
Thank you. For you.
Hello.
Have you been following along?
Just the last little bit because I was out driving my son to work and then being sick.
We're talking about losing faith.
Yeah, the last little bit about narcissists being able to spot people or smell people. They actually pick. It's actually movement. They see it in movement because people who are traumatized move differently. People who have disabilities move differently. You know, there's different movements for people who've been through different things, like the way they walk. We walk. There's a particular people who've been traumatized have that people who have narcissism or predatory traits can spot out. they can just pick it. And I don't think they even know that they're doing it. It's a subconscious thing. So, but yeah, it's been studied a lot that it's like we are the prey and they are the predators, and they can spot who the weak ones are. Pick us off, and
I mean,
something that I was told was that survivors. I have a very hard time saying victims right now.
Right on.
So I'm calling people who made it through survivors.
Yes.
They typically their shoulders roll in. I've been noticing it even in myself, that my shoulders roll in. It depends on what the mood is. It depends on what I'm thinking. And then being able to get out of the mindset of thinking horribly about yourself or doubting yourself, it takes time for your shoulders to come back, but I don't feel like they ever do.
No.
I feel like there's always still something that shows.
Well, lack of confidence is actually one of the easiest things in body language to spot. You tend to look at the ground. You tend not to look at people. And that was one of the things that became apparent to me, not even in body language groups, but just in classes talking about carrying weapons and things like that, that you act differently. And that some of the best self-defense experts out there, they talk about it, that you're always looking at people. Don't look at the down, don't look at the deck, don't look at your feet, look at people, and kind of tag them, like, I know what you're up to, kind of thing. Not anything like that. I'll weird them out.
Need to clip that.
Smile at them, and you do a really long eyebrow flash that will scare the crap out of them. Of course, then you easily get the police after you. But I mean, there is all sorts of things that we portray in body language that we don't even know we're doing.
Yeah.
They say
sorry,
that
I'm gonna just cut you off really quick, Crystal. No, it's okay. I was planning when he got back to go out and get some food for dinner, and then I was gonna come back. So I did want to come and support and say hi. Thank you for asking me about my my views on it, Carol. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry I can't be here a little bit longer, but I am just trying to soak up all the time that I can take.
Right on.
All right.
Well, thank you so much.
Take care.
Time to come on.
Of course. Thank you, guys. I'll see you later.
See ya.
So, Cosmic, what we're talking about is, what have you ever had, like, where you've lost your faith, whether it be in a person or in humanity in general, or a belief, or whatever it is that you had a faith in, and what did you do from there? Where did you go from there?
Well, I think I was born atheist because I was born asking questions, and in religion, you're not really meant to ask questions. I got kicked out of every religious class I was ever in because I asked too many questions, and I was a bit snarky about things. And because I read the Bible, because I'm not going to argue with people if I don't know what I'm talking about. So I'd sit there with my Bible with all highlighted. Oops, sorry, I drew into my Bible. Highlighting stuff I wanted to talk to my religious teacher with. And so I'd talk about it and all that sort of stuff. We had little arguments about evolution and all that sort of stuff. But interesting little arguments I thought were interesting. My religious teachers didn't. But it was what it was. And so, and I dabbled in all sorts of like new age type things without actually, I didn't not believe in them, but I didn't think they'd actually work either, because I always figure that humans are the personification of the universe, so we are what puts things into action. So that was sort of my view. Right. I did runes and all that sort of stuff, and then my stepdad died, and the first thing I called for was God. So and I believed for him so that he would still exist.
Yes.
Not for me, because I don't particularly care if I keep continuing after this. I feel like this life has been long enough. I don't need a heaven or anything like that. It's not something I particularly have ever really wanted for myself.
Right.
But I did want it for him because he's such a really good person. And then I was in my little cult, discovered that they're terrible, great people, singularly, terrible on the whole.
Yes.
And because they said some terrible things about my daughter and my daughter's the way she feels about herself, non-binary, pansexual, all that sort of stuff. And they basically I'd make her come with me because I didn't want her to be too far because we'd just been through this terrible thing. And then she had to sit there and listen to how it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, and all these terrible things that people were saying. And I'm just thinking, I can't make her do this.
No.
And so I slowly pulled away for her. And also, Tony would never want me to believe something that put my actual morals at risk.
Right on.
And just so that he continues to exist. And there's a particular, I wouldn't say I'm completely atheist now. I'd say I'm more agnostic.
Okay.
So I'm riding the fence. So I'm being good, but also thinking that this might be my last life. I'm not going to waste it.
Right.
But there's this guy called Swedenborg or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got a version of faith that I actually quite like. And it doesn't matter if you believe or not. If you're a good person, you'll move forward to the next level of whatever it is. You don't have to believe in the same things everybody else believes in. Like his version, I've seen pictures and there's like Buddhists and atheists and scientists, all these different people in his little version. And it's just, if you're a good person, you'll move forward. And that's what I like the idea of. I don't like the idea of, oh, I'm sorry, I did this terrible thing, most horrific thing you could ever possibly think of, but I'm just going to repent and it makes it okay and I'll still get into heaven. I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't like it either, I got to say. Yeah.
No.
Because, I've rarely seen behaviors change from a repentance. That's just been my experience.
I would love to see someone who has completely changed. I have seen people who have been like on death row and all that sort of stuff, and they seem to have. But really?
Yeah, it's usually something that really gets their attention and makes them see, oh, wait, I need to change, that they're able to.
Yeah. But I'm always of the thought, if you were that sort of person, you wouldn't have done it in the first place. Like the most horrific of horrific things, like, there's certain things I'm just like, yeah, that's a bit of a mistake, bit of an anomaly. Yeah. One of those words. See an enemy. It's a bit of an enemy. But it's just, I don't see it often enough for it to be something that I've put faith in.
Yeah.
Is that word?
Yeah. 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 Exactly. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
That's my views on everything.
Right on. Yeah. I talked about coming out of a cult. Yeah. And part of what was at work too, is that, I would see, the people that were being preached about from the pulpit, i.e. homosexuals, etc. And I could look back on people who were kinder to me than most of the people in the cult were being to me at the time. And so, you begin to think, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I saw somebody that embodied more of what Jesus said. Mm-hmm. And you're saying that they're on their way to, a bad place because they don't think and believe like you. Wait just a doggone minute now.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing is, I also did a lot of reading when I was younger about the origins of the Bible and religion and all that sort of stuff. So it was very difficult for me to take a lot of what they said seriously, because it was like a bit of a joke to me. But it's not a joke, because there's so many people who believe in this to the point that they believe it's actual, like they have to follow it to a T, like the fundamental type people. I mean, people can do whatever they want as long as it's not hurting anybody else, as far as I'm concerned. But when they think that they have a right to judge.
Yes.
When isn't that there's nobody who has that right. There's only one who's got that right, and they're not here. So, and no one's supposed to be above anybody else, and yet that's what we do to people who are preachers and pastors and politicians. We're all meant to be equal. The only one who's meant, like going by the Bible, the only one who's meant to be better than us is God. And because we're all one in the eyes of God, aren't we?
Some people think so. Not everybody does.
But that's what it says. If we're going to take down to the Bible and the T, that's what it says. You know,
Right.
and
Right.
you know the New Age Christians is what I call the New Testament Christians. They're the ones who are the ones who are going against everything that's in there, which is acceptance and love, which is what I figure that Jesus said. You know, it's all about acceptance and love. I mean,
yeah,
he let everyone at his table.
Yeah, he did.
Yep.
And he didn't.
So-
And he didn't. You know, tell people they were wrong unless they were the ones telling other people that they were wrong. Those are the only ones he told that they were wrong.
Yeah.
I don't have an award or anything to show Lord. Oh, wait a minute. This is the closest thing I have to an award for you, Lord Kiss Freak. Natural insect repellent. I'm holding this up because of you. What do you want from Bisbee? You know this about me.
No. Oh, kia ora, Lord. Sorry, I haven't been paying attention to the this chat at all. So, hello, everyone.
I totally agree with you, Cosmic Christie. Yes, I come from a Christian base, but I see myself more as a Christ follower than a Christian, because Christian has gotten a bad rap.
Yeah.
But I honestly believe that if Jesus were walking on earth right now, he'd be the one spending the time with the homeless, with the drunks, with the addicts, with the prostitutes, with those that are on the LGBTQ yada yada. They got so many letters now that
LGBTQ plus.
yeah. Those are the people
like,
he would be. Those are the people he would be ministering to.
Well, if Jesus was walking on the planet now, he'd be the one that's put in a freaking detention center because he's not the right color.
Zelda Z.
Well, that because he's also a Jewish descendant.
I think people who claim to love the Bible so much have never read it. Some of them, Zelda Z says.
Yeah.
True. Very true.
Well, you know, when you think about it, all throughout time, it's taken people to be shamed into helping people. Like, I'm not sure, I can't remember much about the First World War. My son's not here to meh at me about it. But the Second World War, you know, all the refugees were turned away from every country.
Yeah.
These are the Jewish refugees. They were turned away from every country, even though every country knew what was happening over there. And you just think, and that's what's happening now. You know, we're doing the same thing. We know what's happening in these countries, and yet we're still turning them away because we don't have enough. We've got too much. We've got so much that there's like the amount of clothing that I've seen in these rubbish dumps and food and electronics. It's just, it's abhorrent and it's devastating because you got these kids walking through these clothing piles looking for clothes that they can then sell on so they can make some money, but they're digging through garbage, our garbage.
Yeah.
And it's just like, so we have enough. We have enough. We just need to sort out the distribution channels and all that sort of stuff.
Yes,
that's
we do.
A bit of an issue.
Yes.
But it's like we've got so
it's,
much.
It's a matter of, you know, not mismanaging the resources, which, you know, there's a lot of that going on.
Well, you know, even when we try and help some of these nations, you know, you give them power and they take the money. So that's why it needs to be practical help. It can't just be financial. You can't just go, oh, we'll send $1 billion to that and hope that it gets fixed, because that's not going to happen. It's going to be $1 billion going to cars and mansions and stuff, because what else are you going to do if you've never had money? I know what I'd do. I'll be like, bye, bitches. I'm going to go to an island. It's just, but that's because I'm a terrible person and I know exactly what I'll do, and I should not run a country. So
You're not a terrible person.
Kim says he would be in trouble now for the same reasons that he was in trouble then. Yeah, he would.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he would.
By the same people that he was in trouble with then.
Yeah. Yeah. Same flavor. Different day. Yeah. Zelda, I'm so glad you're here. I'm sorry that you're missing your nap, but I'm really glad you're here. I always love your insight. Kindness is something most of us are born. Let me get that comment. Born with, then we're taught otherwise. It's so true. Yeah. It's so true.
Well, that's one of the big things that comes from, that's the counseling that I've done. If you are born in a traumatic situation, you can either go one of two ways, which is super kind or super involved in like selfish, narcissistic and all that sort of stuff. Narcissists aren't born, they're created as well. So, and when you think about it, the people who are, because I was watching this thing in cults yesterday, the people who are cult leaders end up, they're always narcissists because they want the power and all that stuff.
Yeah. So you don't think that there's anything I don't know if we really know whether they're born or nurtured. I don't know. I don't know if we know exactly if it's nature or nurture, or couldn't it be a combination of both?
Probably.
Perfect storm of both.
Yeah. When you look at it, it's one of those things like Wall Street. People who are psychopathic are going to be drawn to it. But having said that, there are a lot of people. One in particular comes to mind who leads a cult where he was born into it and then worked his way up the leadership to where now he's the grand poobah. He's seen more as a sociopath, which actually doesn't even exist. If you look it up in DSM, there is no such thing as sociopath. But what most people mean by it is just simply somebody who's been exposed to it so often. Members of ISIS would be a prime example of this. You see somebody stomped to death enough times, you're just going to not care anymore. They still have an amygdala, it's just they don't use it.
It's what they do in the army too. They desensitize you so that you can do what you're needed to do. So we're having issues with that at the moment, with lack of faith in our army system, well, our military, because of war crimes and stuff that's been hidden up. And we've got a whistleblower who's going to jail. We've got a whistleblower who's going to jail because he can't be tried. No evidence can be shown because the American government's like, nah, it's state secret. So we've got an Australian military lawyer going to jail because of people's supposed faith in their government, which is ridiculous. We shouldn't have faith in our governments at all because they're the ones who are.
Well, yeah, just the mere fact that you have that list of not Weinstein, but the guy with the island, whatever his name was. A couple names are redacted off that. Why is that exactly?
Yeah, well, we shouldn't. I used to be someone who I had all the. This is the biggest thing I've lost in, is I used to have faith in the government system and justice and, everyone's vote counting, blah, blah, blah. I used to have faith in that. That was my big thing. It was my interest. And then I saw what happened over the last few years, and I've lost all faith in government, lost all faith in the people's ability to vote for a proper government. It's just, that was my special. I wanted to be a politician. I wanted to change the world. I thought that I had the power. I don't. None of us do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's an extreme lack of altruism in politics nowadays. It seems like, and
they just say what they got to say to get there. And then once they're there, they say what they've got to do to stay there, but they don't do anything. Nothing's been done. It's just been said. It's a whole lot of words, not a lot of action. And that actually rocked my world once I lost faith in the political system, because I was like, if only we can do it right, do it legally, do it politically, maybe the world could change. And then shit happened and it's all gone. I don't believe that anymore. So
yeah. You know, there seems to be a lot of faith in the government, but you know, it's eroding pretty at a pretty rapid rate.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I actually felt that hurt me more than actually losing my faith in God. So
wow. So how have you been working through that?
Ignoring it. Ignore the news.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Misha. Like, yeah, we can have small effects. We can make ripples in our own little world. Like, as far as changing our friends and all that sort of what our friends' lives and all that sort of stuff. And what we're doing now is making ripples. But I can't go stand in front of my Parliament House and, I don't know, yell at them about stuff, and it's going to change anything. I can't say it on Twitter and it's not going to change anything. My vote, I can't even vote in Australia, but if I could vote, it's not going to change anything. The only thing that's going to change something is if something devastatingly horrible happens and I'm allowed to talk about it. And then I can stand up and I can say, don't let this happen again. Is it going to change anything? I hope so, but I don't know, because we all need to do it. And it needs to be a collective thing. And without the collective, we all need to, I don't know. It's just a sense of helplessness that I haven't got over.
Yes. Oh man, you nailed it. That the whole thing of losing your faith in whatever it is that you had your faith in, you nailed it. Just that lack of ability to find confidence, which can be have devastating consequences. It erodes. It erodes us inside when it has nothing to do with us. Why is that?
I don't know, but I guess to me, I think faith was a personal thing. Like, faith in God was personal for me. Like, I never really thought that was going to be anything. But whereas faith in my ability to change the system or the system to be helpful, that is an everybody problem. I feel like that's a problem that could help everybody, not just people who believe the same thing I do. Whereas, we should be helping everybody, and nobody is in government.
Yeah, it's so scary that at my age, Zelda Z says, I've lost faith in humanity because I don't think I have time to change my mind. Yeah, and that's exactly what we're talking about. Where do we go from there? From what we've lost our faith in? How do we move forward from there?
Well, I've never really put my faith in people. Like I've not, because I've grown up with two very unstable parents and all that sort of stuff. People is not something I've ever put my faith in. Like, single people. But I have put my faith in humanity, and I still have that. And I guess that's what keeps me going, is because I believe that the majority of people are good, and the majority of people do want what's best. The majority. It's just the ones who are not the ones who aren't so great. They're the ones making the biggest noise.
Yeah.
So we just have to, the quiet ones need to stand up and make some noise.
Rebecca says, that's why I just try to focus on helping one person at a time, being kind, one person at a time. It is overwhelming to consider anything bigger. True. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I that is one way to kind of get back to a feeling of, connectedness, because when you lose your faith, you lose that feeling of connectedness, is in reaching out and being kind to someone else, or lend a helping hand somewhere, like, volunteering, or just volunteering because you see a need in somebody around you. One time when I had my heart broken so hard, there was the night that a relationship was broken off, that I had, that I didn't see the red flags for, and I was nowhere near in a place of being ready to, be done with it, and that's one thing that I did, is there was a fire that night, and I went the next day to volunteer to see if there was anything that I could do to clean it up. I thought, you know what, I can't do anything about my mess right now, but maybe if I help somebody else clean up their mess, maybe that will help me. And it ended up being a very good thing, and it did help me. Now that I had forgotten about that.
Yeah, I haven't found anything to be particularly helpful. I don't know that's not to say that nothing helps. I just don't know of one thing in particular that is helpful. I do a range of different things. Like, mine's all about distraction. I just distract myself from life, so I'm not thinking about stuff, because otherwise, if I start thinking about what's going on or problem solving about everything, I can't stop thinking. And then it's just this whirlwind of, like, I could do this, I could do that, I could do this. And it's almost like a manic thought, but it's not. It's ADHD type problem solving type stuff.
Right on.
But it can turn manic, because I get hyper focused, and I'll sit there and I'll write about it for hours and hours and hours, think about it, research it, not sleep for days. And that's when it becomes a psychosis problem. But yeah, it's just, that's what I've done to try and help myself.
Right on.
Recover
That's
from
great.
loss of faith in the system, not humanity. I don't have faith in the system.
Yeah. Right on. If you look at history, oh, sorry. Kim is saying, if you look at history, society is cyclical. We all start off with the best of intentions, a lot of bluster, then growth, erosion with corruption, stagnation, then society collapses, then humanity starts over. Pretty much.
It's like every civilization falls eventually. I'm actually interested to know has anyone lost their faith in a particular person and got it back?
Ooh.
Can you restate the question?
I'm sorry, Ben. Hello, my name's Christy. No, I'm sorry. Have you ever lost your faith in a person, like one particular person, like parent or brother, sister, whatever, and got it back? Or even lost it and not got it back, and how do you cope with that? Because I've never had faith in people singly, so I'd just be interested to know what do you do with that?
Yeah, and if you've ever gotten it back. Ooh. Yeah, no, once that faith is eroded in that person, I don't think there's any way back from that. When it's completely gone and it's completely eroded, it's never been my experience that there's any coming back from that.
Jen's saying she lost it in her father decades ago and got it back 5 years ago, though he still disappoints her at times. Well, that's good to know that it can happen, because instantly I meet people and my first thing is, how are you going to disappoint me eventually? It's not like I treat them that way or think about it. It's just that with no expectations, no disappointments. So
Yeah.
I think,
And that can be a really disappointing place to live. You know?
yeah. But
It
when
doesn't
things
have
happen
to
that are
be,
good,
but
it's super
it
exciting.
well, yeah. It doesn't have to be, but it sure can be. I lost faith. Yeah.
you know, growing up, even as much as my oldest brother hurt me, he was my favorite brother.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be with him all the time. And so I think in me bringing everything out in the open and everything, I did kind of lose faith in that. And years later, after he started having kids, I think I kind of started to get that faith back in him. And then,
Okay.
especially when we sat down and talked.
Yeah.
But then
Okay.
he's chosen to not have a relationship.
Okay.
And so now I kind of go, okay, well, that's kind of weird. It's like the last time I saw him, he wouldn't even acknowledge that I was there, even though we were
Wow.
literally like less than 3 feet away from each other.
Wow. You know, and
So,
where is his right to do that after all that he did?
but you know, I'm okay with it because
Okay.
I don't really like some of the choices that he's made and things he's done. Like, he sat there and he got so mad at me after Mom passed away because I was asking Dad if it was okay if I took, like, what kind of meat I could take from the freezer, because Dad had told me I could.
Mm-hmm.
And my oldest brother got mad at me about that. Oh, you need to let it be Dad's choice and don't push him and yada, yada, yada. Well, I found out that 6 months later, he's pushing Dad to start dating again. It's like, where's the
Wow.
difference?
Yeah.
So,
Giving him another chance was one of the hardest things I've ever done, Jen Marie. I can only
yeah.
imagine, you know, and yeah, I can only imagine. Kim, I have lost it in my brother and still have not gotten it back. His extremist religion does not allow for it. Yeah.
That's kind of like my stepmother. She was my stepmom for 42 years. And because I disagreed with her about my daughter,
Yeah.
she turned her back on me. So, and it's just, that's
like you're
one
supposed to
person
pick her over your daughter. Are you really that serious?
never going to happen. She may have picked
That's
her husband
right.
over her daughter, but I don't pick anyone over my kids.
That's
I don't
right.
even pick me over my kids. But it's just like, the one person I probably could have had faith in, because she stuck by me through when nobody else did, was her. And then because of her religion, her little cult, she turned her back on me because I apparently turned my back on the religion. No, I didn't. I didn't really believe it in the first place. I think I was,
Yeah.
you know, because I
Yeah.
couldn't sit there in church and listen to them speaking in tongues, knowing that actually you're supposed to have someone who can interpret the tongues if someone's going to do it. So, and they're all blabbering about and falling on the floor, being all ridiculous and stuff. And I'm just like, what am I doing? So, you know, I'm sure that happens for some people because they get filled with the Holy Spirit and they get overcome. They call it mass hypnosis. No, a mass. There's something that happens when people do things all at once. So I can't think what it is. It's some mass thing. But, you know, I think that's great that people have that community and all that sort of stuff and can feel that in their little group together, as long as they're
Right.
not spreading the toxicity out and all that sort of
That's
stuff.
right. That's right. But unfortunately, a lot of times that's the way it works.
Yeah. So it's just like, if we could go back to when we all had the little tribe days with the drums.
Yeah, because in order to maintain that, there has to be an us versus them, good versus evil, you know, because it's a very black and white way of approaching life a lot of times. You know, and in a cult, it absolutely is black and white, right and wrong, us and them.
Well, when you think about it, you've got domestically violent relationships or even family violent relationships. They're their own versions of cults because they're led by one particular person who is generally in control over everybody else.
Everybody, yeah.
And you don't have rights. You don't have a right to say that you don't like the treatment that you're getting. Generally, it's mostly physically abusive. Not always. You know, I think sometimes the ones that aren't physically abusive are more insidious because you don't know that it's abuse straight up. You don't know that what they're doing is abusive.
Oh, Kenneth, that's terrible. Some
Wow.
people just love you not choosing their choices for yourself as a person. Yeah, they take that as a personal rejection when you refuse to take on their personal choices, their personal convictions. Yeah. Kenneth.
Yeah, well, I can kind of see how that could be felt as a personal rejection because you're rejecting their beliefs. But, you know, but you're not rejecting it for them. You're rejecting it for yourself. And I think that's where people
That's
need to
right.
take that into
That's
account.
right. But that perspective doesn't seem to come with it, you know. Yeah.
No. And I don't know what that means. And I don't think I want to ask.
Yeah.
But
It's very derogatory, and I'm sorry. That's terrible.
Yeah, that one is pretty bad.
Ugh. Oh, I don't mean to laugh. It's okay. He's dead now. But yeah,
I wait for that day.
It just fits that way. That is it. When we lose faith in someone, a lot of times it is because we don't see eye to eye. Yeah. Never can we see as someone else, hard as we try, neither even nor good willing. Yeah. Well, this has been a great. Go ahead.
Sorry, this is the last thing. I've gotten used to people not thinking the same as me. So over time, I think because of that, I can take other people who have different beliefs and not get offended that they've got different beliefs and try my best to try and figure out why they believe the way they do. And I think that needs to be something that more people need to be taught is critical thinking from a young age, is not just react, but ask himself why you're reacting and why this person thinks the way they do and try and come together in some sort of agreement to disagree.
Yeah. If only we had more of that as the norm. That would be a great societal norm, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, critical thinking and conflict resolution is not taught in schools, and it really should be.
Yeah.
So
that's true. I have a family member that has chosen not to speak to my mom, me and my family. We still love them, and if they want to come back in our lives, we will take the time to work it out. It is just so sad. That's a tough one. Family runs a lot deeper than we think, and we don't really recognize it until they do something that, you know, makes us question whether or not we should have them in our lives.
Well, that's one thing is like everyone says, you know, family is the most important. And I don't think that's true. You know, the ones who make you important, they're important. And you can make your own family. It doesn't need to be
that's true.
Something that's you're born into, you know, you can create your own family. Family can be a person and their cat. So, you know.
Yeah. I do not mind them believing. Kim says, I do not mind them believing different or thinking different, but please do not kill me because of it. Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
I've found nowadays that people don't want to agree to disagree. They're so confused and angry. Yeah. Zelda Z.
That's it. People just want to be right.
Yeah, and that's that black and white thinking again, you know, how can there be a right and a wrong? I mean, there are certain things that we as a society have agreed are right and wrong, but there's so many things that there's no way you can make that fit into right and wrong, black and white. There's so many things, and those just completely get looked over, glossed over. Keep getting interrupted by calls, maintenance man. Okay.
Yeah, I have to
Thank
go
you,
as well.
Mary
I've
Jo.
got
Okay.
people coming to help me clean today. So it's
Right on.
a great meeting, and it was very interesting to
Yeah.
listen to and jump onto at the
Yeah.
end.
Right on. Thank
So,
you for
love
coming on.
Love you.
Love you too.
Thank you for holding the space.
Yeah.
Love you. I should probably get going too. I've got to get some packing and stuff done. So
Right on.
That is so good to hear, though. It's a nice problem to have, especially with where you were at mentally.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole depression thing and all that. So that has to do you some. Well, it doesn't have to, but I mean, that's probably doing you some good to be able to know there's an end in sight. You don't know where it is, but to have something tangible to work towards.
it's still a struggle.
Mm.
I will completely agree with that. My other personality ended up coming out in a big way this weekend, and there was a lot of tears this weekend, but
I'm sorry.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah, everyone's asking now, what did I get good news? For those
Yeah.
of you
Go ahead and tell them. Yeah.
for those of you that weren't here at the beginning, things with work are better. I talked with my store manager, and he was not realizing where I was meaning. There was a cross in communication, and he's going to deal with the problem properly. I have been accepted for a place. I do not have a place as of yet, but at least I've been accepted. And I'm praying that I will hear within the next 4 to 6 business days that I have a place. So, yeah.
Here's the award again, the insect repellent. Since I don't have a tiara.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
That is so good, Crystal. I really did have a feeling it was going to work out.
Yeah. It's just it comes right before a lot of really tough days.
Yeah.
The middle of May is extremely difficult for me.
Oh yeah.
It's the anniversary of my attempt.
Okay.
It's also the anniversary of my best friend passing.
Oh, wow.
She literally passed the day before the anniversary of my attempt. And
Wow.
she was the one that taught me to celebrate instead of dread those days. So, yeah, it's coming up to some tough stuff. Plus Mother's Day in May, when you have a mother that was not a mother, and you lost the only baby you would ever be able to have. So it just kind of tugs at both ends.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of people
as May comes up, lots of hugs and lots of good thoughts to you.
Well, and the thing is too, a lot of people, they look at me and, well, yeah, you lost a baby, but you never got to see it. You never got to hold it or anything. So why are you?
And that
why
means
are you?
Anything, because why? I mean, that's.
I know. Yeah, people don't realize that miscarriage or even abortion can affect you years later.
Absolutely.
And
some people never get over it, and a lot of people don't. Most people, maybe even.
And a lot of people don't realize that just because you can't see somebody's child doesn't mean that they're not a mother or a father.
That's right. Yeah. Celebrate.
So yeah,
Yeah. That's a great idea.
yes.
Celebrate that you're here. Yeah. I want to celebrate that you're here.
That'll come at the middle part of the month.
Right on.
But yeah, I do need to go and get some stuff some stuff done around here. Talk to you guys later.
Good to see you. How are you, Christy?
It's been a Monday. Yeah. I went to hop on and it said the meeting had ended. And so that's why I called you, because I was like, oh, it's over. And then
Oh, you know what? I just noticed that Spanx's thing is not there. So if you were watching on the lifeboat side, that's why.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't think I was, but okay. Well, yeah, but how are you guys?
Doing okay. Yeah. It was a great topic of discussion.
I know, I'm so sorry I missed it, because are you going to continue it tomorrow?
If you pressure her hard enough, she will.
Yeah, I'd like to keep it going throughout the week, because I'm sure that people kind of think of some things overnight and, get others' perspectives on it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'm sorry that I missed it. I had something really important come up that I had to deal with that could not wait. So I thought I was going to get to hop on and it didn't.
Right on.
But I thought this was such a fabulous idea for you. Like
right on.
week-long show idea. Yeah, I thought it was great. So
yeah. I would say that I'm still kind of trying to find my way back to, because, life felt better when, certain things to have faith in were there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It did. And so I guess maybe it's a matter of finding what to have faith in, maybe. I don't know.
Well, and a lot of times, even a destructive group can give you that. We need to meet people with skin on.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. Well, and I think we are just naturally creatures of faith. I mean, I think we have to have something to believe in. We have to have something to put our faith in, and I think when that gets lost, that's a sad thing, and I do think you've got to untangle it and work through it. And like you said, whether it's a religion or a person or whatever, like there's a lot there,
Yeah. We are social animals. Yeah. That thing, that saying about blood is thicker than water. We are social animals. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, we really are. And I'm not trying to drag out the meeting. I just wanted to come on and support you when I finally got everything all sorted out. So, I mean, if you guys were done, don't keep it going because of me. I just wanted to hop on.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe I'll find something. I kind of read from a blog. It was, let's see, How to Repair a Broken Spirit by, let's see what her name is. I put it in the description. Erin Murphy on the Elephant Journal blog. She's a contributor. I guess it's go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that happens a lot. People's spirits get broken, for one reason or another.
Yeah. Hey, Kenneth, it's truncated. Blood spilled in battle is thicker than the water spilled in childbirth is the actual wording. So the meaning is backwards.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
That is interesting. I did not know that either.
Wow.
I found that my family is the people I chose to be my family.
Yeah.
Right on, Crystal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found that having faith in human resilience. Oh, I love this. Having faith in human resilience and innate tendency to resistance is a good way to go. I agree. My
Oh my gosh.
Tremir
Yeah.
Goshigal. I don't know if I said that right or not, or if I didn't completely butcher that name, but I love that.
Mock.
I guess connection isn't always
Mock.
good, but we are connecting. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes, yeah, connection can be a, I mean, I was in a cult and thought I'd found my tribe, and then I ended up finding my tribe through ex-cult members. That's how, that's how I found the lifeboat, was through the ex-Scientologist community.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The hardest relation, I was giving this thought while people were talking. The hardest relationship that I found that I lost faith in was my mother, because I think that's just natural that children tend to think of their parents as being, I don't know, infallible. I'll use that word.
Mhm.
They're always
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
and to find out, I mean, it's the same thing like with what Aaron was talking about. You would see things, but you just discount them. You see that
Yeah.
the way she would talk about her friends when one friend wasn't around. Then she would talk to that friend when they weren't around, and then, oh, you'll never live up to your brother. You'll never live up to this. Blah blah blah. And it wasn't until after, geez, really late, like 28 or so, I realized, damn, my mom isn't right. My mom is as screwed up as I am. And then later I come to find out, well, yeah, she's a psychopath. Like, why didn't I know this? Everybody knew but me.
Oh,
It's like, well, yeah, she's got a
no.
medical thing, whole medical thing. And it's like, okay, I try to remember that she did the best she could with
Mhm.
what she had. I get that. There's
Mhm.
there's a lack of empathy going on there. So you really, parenthood and psychopaths are people too, but parenthood
And
and
they become parents. Yeah.
they do. And you know, but it's messy. It's really messy. And I have the
Yeah.
relationship with her that's possible now. I'll just put it like that. It's arm's
Okay.
length, but
Yeah.
it's all that, because to get any closer, it gets harmful. So,
Now,
yeah,
is she an actual, like, diagnosed
diagnosed. Yeah,
psychopath?
yeah,
And
she's
was
got
Wow.
she this before you were born, or did this come to light, like, as
it
you were younger?
much later. Um, we had trying to remember. Actually, I don't think she was even, her issue wasn't related to mine, but we've all had psych write ups just because she's also a bit of a malingering, which is where it's kind of like, um, what is that, by proxy, where basically you injure your kid for
Oh,
attention.
Munchausen.
But yeah, yeah, that it's like that. But malingering is doing it for money.
That's chill.
You do that for money, and that's what malingering is. It's also
Okay.
when people will fake medical conditions for money. That's malingering.
Okay.
But
Okay.
so we had stuff like that come up, and yeah, it was one of these things. It turns out all my friends saw it, and because when the diagnosis came down, oh, you check this out, my mother's got something wrong with her benign. I couldn't even pronounce it, and
Mhm.
yeah, and well, yeah, she's a psychopath. Why didn't anybody tell me? This is what we figured you
Yeah.
knew.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Always the last
ouch.
to know.
Oh,
But yeah,
the
that
toughest.
it was a little tough, but it was also very liberating, because then I realized all the stories I've been
Yeah.
told weren't true, and
Yeah.
because with that comes like any narcissist, and it's just one of those things. When you don't have feelings for others, you will be a narcissist. All psychopaths are narcissists. That's
Okay.
just the way it is.
Okay.
But not all narcissists are psychopaths.
Right.
But
Right on.
and it makes sense, because when you don't have any empathy towards others, you only have yourself to relate to. You should care for others, but you don't have any feelings for them. So everything's going to be from your perspective.
Yeah.
And you just other, yeah.
I want to acknowledge this, Kim. True. The toughest relationship to lose was the one with my mother. To realize she hated me without any remorse to her dying day was chilling. That is chilling, Kim. I'm so sorry. That is chilling. That is. I can't think of anything that could be more chilling.
Yeah, I would much rather put up with the passive aggressive. You will never live up to insert name here. I'd much rather put up with that versus out and out hatred. That, yeah.
I turn my private interest into my field of studies, and you can put people under all this pressure and indoctrinate them, and they'll still have a point where they'll fight against depression. My faith. Love that.
Yeah.
Mactmir Doshigal? Doshigal? Am I getting close?
Phonetically spell it in the chat so we know how to say it.
Yeah. Every single person in our lives have the potential to be the greatest blessing or the most hurtful lesson. The realization that all are fallible, not just me, priceless. We are all human. Very true. Very true. Yeah. Well, yeah. Yes, Kim. Ones. Yeah. Wow. Well, you guys, I would say this was a great topic. And I loved hearing everybody's perspective on it. Yeah.
I'll have to go back and rewatch it from the beginning. I will do that. But I look forward to hopefully chatting about it tomorrow.
Right on.
I did not realize I was going to have a plumber stop by unexpectedly in the middle of it, but it all got worked out. So very loud conversation going on. Oh, well.
Awesome. All right. Well, like I said, I just wanted to pop on and say hi and show up to support you once I got everything all sorted out. And
right on.
Yeah, so I will be on tomorrow and I'll catch the replay, and I hope you guys have a great night.
You too, Christy.
I'll see you then.
Okay.
Say hi to the furry herd.
Oh yes, always.
Yeah. Well, Ben, this has been awesome. Yeah, I love your perspective. I always do.
Thank you.
No, for real.
I really think this thing that you came up with to deal with the things that you were dealing with is just a fantastic idea. I mean, I went back and watched the very first ones, and it was very clear, like, wow, okay, I get it now. It's like, otherwise it was just kind of like, let's just throw this together. No, that's not what it was about. It was not just thrown together. It was thrown together exactly for connection, to have a meeting.
Yeah.
And it is a very good little platform you put together here.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We get off into the weeds sometimes, but I think it does. I think I choosing a topic to discuss might be a good way to kind of keep it a little more focused on, connection around a certain thing. And yeah, I mean, there are so many things that we have in common.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a very I don't see how content creators do it as far as keeping things on topic. I mean, you look at Chris and Melinda's show. She was talking about, what was it? Chocolate and neuroscience. No, it was chocolate and something. And it, I haven't watched it yet, but she was talking about how when the chocolate, and then can squirrels be made to synchronize swim? That would be, I so got to see that. And to me, that is priceless.
Oh, that's brilliant.
That is also a great illustration of ADHD. I'm not accusing her of having it, but that I gotta.
That's amazing. Right on. Thanks, you guys.
I do hope you have a great day. I hope your herd's doing okay, and I hope the therapy donkey is able to, I don't know, give you a quality therapy today. And I hope you're able to have a mutual understanding.
Yeah, we're doing okay. Yeah, he gets a little bit of his own ideas, and it's just a matter of whose idea is going to be the idea that gets carried out today. I have a little bit of an advantage in that I feed the guy, so
yeah, you can always
they
cut
are
them off.
pretty much slaves to their stomach, so that helps.
Donkeys do look like cool animals. I don't know if I'd want to own one, but you have yourself a great day.
You too. Thanks. You guys, awesome topic, awesome contributions, awesome from awesome people, because you guys are making this an awesome place to be. And I sure appreciate each and every one of you. And I love each and every one of you. And I hope you're going to have a great rest of your day, and hope to see you again next meeting. And until then, peace, y'all.